all of this.
Love it.
On Fox Sports Radio.
Remember the soap dish? Well, get ready for the soap dish down and dirty when Deanna Wallen from Naples Soap Company returns this Saturday and Sunday from 7 to 8 a.m. here on Fox Sports Radio. You'll hear the latest from experts in the health and wellness community, along with surprise celebrity guests. It's time to share all those sudsy secrets, so get ready for some fun Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. on the soap dish down and dirty. Brought to you by Naples Soap Company and heard here on Fox Sports Radio.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 94.1 Fox Sports Radio.
We are Fox Sports!
What's trending now on Fox Sports Radio is sponsored by Estate Roofing in Naples. Online at estateroofing.com.
You didn't see much of the pregame, right?
I didn't see really any of the
pregame. How about 6 to 6:30?
Not a second.
Okay.
It was in my car. That was on purpose. We turned the golf on the party I was at.
Oh, the golf went long.
Yeah. Fino cost us that brick.
I know.
Holy cow, did he blow that.
Make a birdie, dude.
He hits 3-wood on 17 to lay up. They're all like, that's a smart play, good play. He hits it in the fairway bunker. Faldo's calling it. Faldo goes, he should have flown that by 30 yards with that club. Like, they were dumbfounded he hit it in the middle of this trap.
We need a poll question.
I've got two.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
San Francisco. Super Bowl missed playoff.
That's it.
Best halftime ever.
Shelter from the storm, huh?
And
Prince.
Moulton.
Yeah. Sounds like a song.
Timberlake,
Southwest
Bruno
Florida's
Mars.
Fox Sports Radio.
Or best recent
All
halftime.
guests appear on the Goldberg
Bruno
and
Mars,
Abraham Hotline.
Timberlake,
Goldberg-law.com.
Prince, yesterday. Yeah, okay. We got to eliminate one then. I'd eliminate Timberlake out of that because people didn't like it as much
The
as we
best
did.
local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
Your life.
Nearly 2 minutes past 7 o'clock. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. This is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We are streaming. This and every show on the station is available via foxsportsfm.com. The Miller and Moulton Show available Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and once again on Twitch TV. That's twitch.tv. We have a Miller and Moulton YouTube channel. Please sign up for it. We also have a Miller and Moulton Twitch channel. So many different ways that you can take in this show. 249-8167 is the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line. 249-8167. I feel like I'm home again.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear you say that. David, how many scoops have you had in your career? Like, legit scoops?
A
few dozen?
Yeah.
I mean, because you weren't a scoop guy even when you were in local all that much. I know you had the one big one in North Dakota.
Yeah.
I remember you. I remembered you mentioning that.
Yeah, I would say 2 dozen.
I'm not. I mean, I've never had a scoop. Really. I mean,
you think you have one now, though?
I got a phone call on Saturday from a very good friend. She says, and I've known this person for a lot of years, and never once when I've picked up the phone and this person has called has the first words been this: "Got something for your show." In fact, my show's never come up with this person, like, in that regard.
Okay.
And I said, and I'm like, yeah, what? And he goes, Brady's going to Tennessee. And I said, what?
Okay.
And this person's a Patriot fan. He goes, Brady's going to Tennessee. He goes, I'm telling you. And through business dealings with somebody pretty close to TB12,
okay,
it was told to this person that it's done, that he's going to be a Titan. The runner-up, the bridesmaid, like they are for every Super Bowl, was Tampa.
Huh.
The other part of this that all came through it is that New Orleans wanted him because this guy named Breeze is retiring.
Well, and, I mean, that's been out there. I mean, I first said that on this show in mid-November.
Right.
That the whispers throughout the broadcast industry that the feeling was that, he's leaning more towards that than what you would think, even though he's still playing at a high level. Okay.
and that he was recruited a bit to New Orleans by a pretty famous football family that's associated with New Orleans, but went to Tennessee. Now, on our show on Friday, and, again, hey, you can believe what you want to believe, because when I put this on Twitter, someone said, is this your theory or is this reporting? I said, for the first time ever, this is reporting. I have a source. I don't have two.
Okay, Dan Patrick.
Well, I'm just telling you. I'm being honest.
Right.
But two things that I've seen. One was on Friday when we were talking about this. One of our listeners said The Highway, which is the Sirius XM country channel, said Tom and Giselle were house shopping in Nashville on Friday.
Although I thought I read something this morning that said that, Giselle was misidentified. That people who thought Giselle was in that area, it turns out she was not.
Okay. And it could be. I remember when I lived in Nashville and there was talks of a hockey team coming there named the New Jersey Devils, and everybody thought it was a bunch of bunk. Mark Kumpel, who was the head coach, and I were out walking to lunch, and he looks and he goes, holy Blake, that's Lou Lamoriello. And it was. And we're like, this was a lot closer to happening than anybody ever realized. And it just happened to be a dumb day that two hockey, because Lou Lamoriello could have walked down Nashville streets 15 years ago and not a soul would have known who that was, except for Mark Kumpel and I.
And at the time, Lou Lamoriello was the president and general manager of the New Jersey Devils, so that's why that was a big deal. He currently is president and GM of the New York Islanders.
So, look it. Hey, if I'm wrong, so be it. I don't do scoops. All I am saying...
So the info you have...
and I've never had info.
Says he's going to Tennessee.
No, says it's done.
Okay, which is interesting because, of course, he's not allowed to talk to anybody.
Well, we all know that's...
For another 5+ weeks. Right. So, okay.
And you're right. Now, since then, I've already heard that the Patriots are throwing $30 million at him. We'll believe that when we see it, that the Raiders and other teams want him. But can I just ask you this? Because a lot of people were talking, because I'm fascinated by Tennessee in no matter what happens there next year. I think they have one of the most interesting off seasons going, with the tackle and the running back and the quarterback all being free agents. Most running backs don't want to be franchised.
Right. No, they want long-term deals.
Right. If you're Derrick Henry and Tom Brady's coming, even though you don't want to get franchised, are you less likely to be a Melvin Gordon about showing up if you have Tom Brady as your quarterback or anybody else? I mean, do you think, because these guys all want to get paid, they don't really care. I mean, they want to win, I get it, but they want to get paid.
Yeah, with what's happened recently, I would be advising my client, the running back, I know this isn't what you want, but you're going to make $14 million. You go play. And have another year like the one you just had, and either A, you're going to make more on a one-year deal, or B, it's going to get you that multi-year deal.
Well, and if they franchise you the next year, it's whatever the current number is plus whatever. So you're going to get paid.
Right, serious coin. And so just keep on keeping on, because let's face it, if I sign you to a 4-year deal, it's only going to be about 2 years of guaranteed money. So it's not much different. It's 1 year different in reality than what a quote-unquote long-term deal would be. So just, this isn't what we want, but you know what? The annual salary is what we want. So go play. Now, Derrick Henry made a little bit of news Super Bowl week when he said that Ezekiel Elliott's deal is what he views as the floor. Not the ceiling of what he wants, but the floor. But if you really think about it, what do you expect him to say? He wants as much money as possible, so he wants it out there. Hey, I want to get paid. Remember, he was not a first-round pick. So he has not made in his first 4 years what Zeke, who was 4th overall, and Melvin Gordon and others have made. He was a second-round pick. He's made a lot less. So
this is his window.
No doubt.
I mean, that's it. The guy,
sure.
and he said as much on the NFL Network last week when Burleson finally trapped him down and said, "You want to get paid." Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to get paid.
Damn right.
And he just said, "Well, we've got a short window." Yes.
Yeah.
And you're a running back.
Yeah, you have a shorter window than all the others.
Because the two running backs that were featured in the Super Bowl were both undrafted free agents. So Derrick Henry and McCaffrey, and you can pay all these guys.
Right.
But I can just keep showing you guys one that got over 200 in the NFC Championship, one that had over 102 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, and those guys weren't even drafted into the league.
and have been released and or traded quite a few times also.
So, David, poll question. Yesterday we talked about it a little bit, and now I have a separate note in my phone just for poll questions. When one strikes me during the day, I jot it down.
Wow, this is a new year. Look at this. A section in your phone just for our poll questions.
And anybody that ever has a poll question at any point in time, you want to text it to us, that's fine.
That'd be fantastic.
So I started with one I had yesterday during the show,
all right,
which is San Francisco. Make the Super Bowl, misses the playoffs next year, 2021. Best recent halftime, because the Shakira J-Lo halftime is still being talked about, more so for either its greatness or for its promiscuity, which is laughable to me. I mean, the people that are upset of what they saw at halftime really need a life, in my opinion. What did they think they were going to get out of two Latin women with great rumpers? What did they expect?
Well, also there's a double standard because the year before Adam Levine walked around half naked for his performance, so there is a bit of a double standard.
Oh, that's right. Adam Levine did it the year before.
Yeah.
So I was going with the best recent Super Bowl halftime. Going in because today, 13 years ago, was, in my opinion, the best.
Is this Prince?
Prince was 13 years ago today.
Singing Purple Rain in
Right.
the Rain.
But you loved you and I both loved the Timberlake.
Right.
But that
we're
did
apparently
not.
the only
but
ones.
that did not make my list because, well, not many people liked it the way we did. But Beyonce, Bruno Mars, which pretty much everybody is of the opinion that Bruno Mars can do it every year.
It was really good.
It was sensational. Last Night's or Prince. I think Prince on this show would win hands down.
All right. You want to throw that out there? Go for it.
Or one more. I'm not done yet, David.
What is this? The Levitard show? What's
Well,
going on?
I mean, more the Dan Patrick show. We're only going to have one, but I'm going to allow you to choose from what I've come up with.
Gotcha.
And the last one is, how many Super Bowls will Mahomes, Reed, and the Chiefs win?
Huh. Boy, he's 24,
Right,
He's not
and
even old enough to rent a car.
No, well,
Okay. I don't know if his high school sweetheart's a little bit older. Maybe she's the one that's got to rent the car.
Right.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I've been a league MVP. I've been a Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to get somebody to rent that car for you. You're not old enough yet. This maybe, I know we're like raising the age of purchase for cigarettes and other things. Do you think maybe we need to lower the age in which you are able to rent a car?
it's never going to happen because it's not a national law. It's the car company's law.
I understand.
I mean,
it seems a little excessive, though.
It is. It's very excessive. That was my favorite birthday, 25, because I could finally run a day. I mean, it's like 21 didn't feel like an adult to me because I had a fake ID at 17. So 21 wasn't that big of a deal. 25 was glorious. I could rent a car and I could travel, go get a car. I mean, it changed everything.
Felt like a big boy at the airport.
Felt like I finally got a seat at the adults table. Like from 22 to 24, you're sitting in purgatory. You've got like a couple teenagers at your table. You're at a card table.
I don't think I got a seat at the adult table till I was married. So that was early 30s. 249-8167, 249-8167, the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line.
So Mahomes, halftime, or Niners?
Go halftime. Today's the last day we can go halftime. We could do Mahomes any day of the offseason. We could do Niners any day of the offseason. Do think it is interesting, outside of teams named the New England Patriots, if you lose the Super Bowl, you do not have the best of years the next year. You are more likely to miss the playoffs than you are to even make it. That's how it has gone recently. So let's do the halftime.
All right.
What the heck? Miller and Moulton. There were some out there, because fortunate in my two network TV supporting roles here, that occasionally they take a shot of the booth and I make the survey, as we say. I'm on television. Well, I didn't think that I would make the survey in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's the Super Bowl after all.
Right.
This is not a Saturday in Starkville.
Right. I saw the one shot, and I think Pereira's spotter got in there.
yes, Roger sits to the right of Pereira, and he literally couldn't move. He was jammed into the corner. I mean, once he sat down, I mean, we said to Roger, Raj, go eat what you need to eat. Go use the little boy's room if you need to. Whatever it is, talk to whoever you need to. Because once you're in that corner, Raj, you're not leaving till the game ends. So
Even could he get out at halftime?
he could, because it is very
Well, that's
long.
what I mean.
But
I saw the shot and I had a pause. I went, that was my only moment where I'm like, damn, he didn't get a shot.
But I knew the angle that the robotic camera was coming in from, which was from Joe Buck's left, and then Troy's to his right. I'm to the right of Troy. Mike Pereira's to the right of me. And I thought to myself, this is going to look too awkward. People at home are going to be like, who's the guy with the big head? And you can't have that. It's the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And so that's when I knew right away. I go, well, I'm not going to make the survey. But apparently they had a shot at about 10 minutes to 5 o'clock in which Troy Aikman, Drew Brees, and some guy sitting in a chair was maybe to be seen if you knew, what to look for. And apparently that was
your moment?
That was my moment.
You were guy in the chair?
I was guy in the chair at about 10 minutes to 5.
And for the Emmy for best supporting
Guy
analyst,
in the chair. I think guy in
the
the
winner
chair.
is David Moulton. Guy in the chair. Guy in the chair.
We saw a band on Fort Lauderdale Beach Friday night, and their website was something like thatbandwesaw.com.
Perfect.
So that's
perfect.
the guy in the chair.
Free beer tomorrow.
Right, guy in the chair. So, but it was funny because Drew Brees, who was doing something along with Joe Montana and Brett Favre with Fox, and I think Joel Klatt, and they were just having a roundtable discussion throughout the entire game, watching it as fans, if you will, and commenting as it was going on. And so Brees comes into the booth, and obviously he and Troy are talking, but Joe's about to go on live. He had one thing to do in the pregame, and that was introduce. He sat down with Kyle Shanahan, and they talked about being the sons of famous fathers, if you will. And so Joe's about ready to introduce that, and they say to Troy and Drew, hey, in or out? What do you, and so they're like, oh, well, we'll stay. And so there I was sitting off into the corner in a chair, and they literally come up to me and stand in front of me, facing me, not even facing Joe. And so they're stuck there for over 5 minutes. And so the three of us end up talking. And then finally, Joe introduces his thing, and then Troy kind of wanders away and starts to look at his notes and what have you. And Drew's still there. And so, end up just talking with Drew Brees. And I'm trying to make conversation. He doesn't know me from Adam.
Right. You don't want to just jump into the NFC Championship. I mean, hey, did you think it was OPI on Rudolph?
Yeah.
I mean, those are questions you can't really open with.
It's a little
You got to be a little.
And so I just said, this got to bring back memories, right? Because Drew Brees and the Saints won their Super Bowl in Miami, and it was 10 years ago almost to the day. And he goes, yeah, it definitely does, and what have you. And so I just said, how much of the game, do you remember? And he goes, surprisingly, not as much as I do a lot of other games. He goes, you hear the players talk about, it's a bit of a blur, and it's so big, and there's so much pomp and circumstance. And he goes, and you really are trying to soak as much of it in. But at the same time, I mean, it's a Super Bowl. You're trying a lot harder to win. And he goes, I actually have a lot more remembrances of a lot of other situations and a lot of other games than I do the Super Bowl. And so, yes, Mark, that's when I decided to be, some would call it part of my charm. Some would say, well, it's a little pushy. But I said to him, I go, hey, I said, you're probably going to go into broadcasting one day. I said, and, you'll probably be a fairly big deal. You may do one of these games. I go, you should rewatch your Super Bowl. And he looked at me and said, why? And I said, well, I don't have a whole lot of experience at the network level, but I do know that when they ask you to, hey, tell us about your Super Bowl, all right, that the answer that your boss is probably not looking for is, well, it was kind of a blur. I go, you may just want to watch it once or twice and fill in some of the blanks. And he smiled. He said, that's not a bad idea.
He almost went dadgum good point, didn't he?
He almost did say it was a dadgum good point. If he had been exposed to this show, okay, for 10 or more minutes, he probably would have said it's a dadgum good point. So I feel as if Drew goes on someday to a nice little broadcasting career and he does the Super Bowl, which I expect that he will.
Well, after that advice, you should be right alongside him, right? I'm sure you gave him your card and your phone number.
Not at all.
No, of course
not at all.
And he'll be on the show for what?
No, he won't either. So good chat. I'm glad I brought it up.
That's awesome. I'm glad you did that. The Drew Brees. Come on. By the way, were you both standing at any point?
I was sitting.
I know you, because the only other time I've ever seen Drew was, I believe, at the Prince Super Bowl, right? In 2007 in Miami. Didn't he walk by us there?
Yeah, because they had been beat by the Bears in the NFC Championship game. And
he was on
came
Radio
to
Row.
Radio Row, and we interviewed him.
I didn't think we interviewed him, but
yeah, no, we did. He actually came to us, and we interviewed him.
Because I remember when he was walking by, you looked at me and went, "The hell, he's 6 foot." Because you were standing up, and he walked right by us, and you were like, "There's no way he's 6 foot."
Yeah, we were fortunate. Drew came on our show twice. He came on live at a Super Bowl, and then he also, one of the Super Bowls that we didn't go to, he actually called in and did a phoner. Because, they're all representing some company, and so, they can do it over the phone, and he was kind enough to do it. So, but, if you think about, and I know that we brought this up a couple weeks ago, I cannot get off of this subject. Think about the quarterbacks that are legitimately in play right now, in which you do not know their futures and or where their futures are going to be. We have never seen anything like this. What is the one position they don't allow to get to this point? Quarterbacks.
And two icons.
Yeah, Hall of Famers.
Instant Hall of Famers.
Instant.
We have no clue, or most of you don't have a clue where they're going. I know where Tom Brady's going, but the rest of
Right.
you do not.
Right. And so we don't know if Breeze is coming back. All three quarterbacks on the Saints roster are free agents. The friend that called you and said, "Hey, I think Brady's going to Tennessee." All right.
There was never a think.
Well, I got you. But see, I'm trying to couch it for you. But Mark, to me, here's how I think you'll know if that information is good info or not. You'll know it by the end of this month. They've got 6 weeks. They can lock Ryan Tannehill up. Tannehill has said, "I don't want to leave. I'm comfortable here. I know the offense, the whole deal. I think we can get something done. I think we can get something done quickly." Quite frankly, they could do a deal with Ryan Tannehill today.
Well, Ryan Tannehill and Joe Burrow, if they are going to play in Cincinnati and Tennessee, there could be no mystery at all about either of those. And you know what? Right now, Joe Burrow, I listened to 4 interviews with him last week. If you talk to Cincinnati, no.
Well, I don't even know if they have to talk.
No, and he said that. But he said that. He goes, "We don't have to." He goes, "They're doing their thing. We're doing our thing." No, he didn't. Put it this way: never once in the interviews I heard with Joe did he say anything that would lead you to believe he was the slightest bit upset about not hearing from Cincinnati. No. He just answered the question.
And he figures he's going to Cincinnati. And, besides the fact that he said that he doesn't like Skyline Chili, he'll be warmly received.
Oh, yeah, but he also said on Dan Patrick, he did this. He gave almost the same answer Matthew Stafford gave to us, David, where he just said the first overall pick.
Right. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And it pays really well.
But not to mention that with the pay that you are then responsible. You're the most responsible person for turning around a franchise.
Oh, there's no doubt you're going to get all the credit if it happens.
And if you're a quarterback, you want that. Whether or not you can fulfill the promise you've given to that city will remain to be seen. Matthew Stafford hasn't given the Lions fans what they've wanted, but it sure as hell to me has never been Matthew Stafford's fault.
No. I actually think that in a year's time, Matthew Stafford could end up somewhere else in which people are going to be like, "Wow, he's that good?" Yeah, he's actually been that good. The team around him has not necessarily been. Miller and Moulton. Bobby Regan, who covers college hoops for Barstool, He will join us next. Thanks so much for being with us. 24 minutes past 7 o'clock. We are Miller and Moulton, and this is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is The Herd.
You're clear.
With Colin Cowherd.
You saw Ryan Tannehill this weekend trailing, trying to go toe-to-toe against Patrick Mahomes. What'd that look like? I root for great, and great creates clarity. Half the teams in this NFL can't have an honest conversation with themselves about their quarterback. Chicago's trying to convince themselves we got the right guy.
Colin Cowherd.
Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Dr. Jim D. Raspino from C4MH in Frank's Garage today, talking about New Year's resolutions. It seems like every year we want to turn over a new leaf, right? We're going to eat healthier, we're going to get to the gym, and then come February 1st, what? Nothing? And most guys say, I just don't have any energy.
But guys, before you spend a ton of money on a gym membership and a personal trainer, go to C4MH.com. We have an express treatment program that will get you over $400 of blood tests, including total and free testosterone, and an in-office doctor consultation for only $45.
I'm a patient at C4MH, and it's safe, convenient, and affordable. Best part is, now I've got the energy to follow through with that New Year's resolution.
Exactly. Your workouts become super energized. Your $45 gets you information about the state of your body.
So guys, give yourself the gift of testosterone replacement therapy at C4MH.com. The leaders in low T care, and make your resolution this year a successful one.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor. The Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. Heat pumps take heat out of the air and put it in your pool. They cost less to run than gas heaters, and you won't have panels on your roof. Special pricing, rebates, and free on-site evaluations. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
I'm a busy person.
Catch the show anytime. Check out MillerandMoulton.com and subscribe to the daily podcasts.
Hi, it's Don Shula. Shula Steakhouse is the perfect place for a perfect Valentine's Day. Make your reservations early.
Valentine's Day lunch will be extra special.
It's going to be
at
tough
Shula's
to beat
with
Prince in the rain.
medallions.
Oh,
boy.
I don't think anybody's got a shot.
Butter.
Almost
Shula's
didn't want to put it in there for that
menu
reason.
Is always available. So make your reservations
Plus,
early for
he's
Thursday,
no longer
February
with us,
14th
so yeah,
lunch
you've
with
got
your
that
Valentine.
factor going on,
Shula's
the
in Naples
immortality.
Hilton.
Oh, I gotta
Call now,
redo this again, too. God
430-4999. That's 430-4999.
Look at the picture.
11
Huh.
years ago,
Wonder what's going on.
It's frozen. It's the second time it's happened this morning.
I know that. I just meant I just don't know why.
I don't know.
That's kinda-
I did.
Days of incredible talent, including the amazing co-headliner, Lettuce. Also featuring Robert Randolph and the Family Band, The Main Squeeze, The Nth Power, Funk U, Voodoo Visionary, Joe Marcinick Band, guest starring Nikki Gillespie, Jamar Woods of The Fritz, and Tony Hall of Dumpsta Funk, Dr. Bacon, The Head Tones, and Jamar Woods. It's Funk Fest's 11th year, and it's a guaranteed good time, with a huge food truck and vendor village to keep you party. Get tickets and showtimes at funkfestpuntagorda.com. That's funkfestpuntagorda.com.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
Your life.
– 28 minutes past 7 o'clock. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Streaming, FoxSportsFM.com. Broadcasting live, many a place. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and we are live on Twitch TV. That is twitch.tv. Make sure you sign up for the Miller and Moulton YouTube channel and also the Miller and Moulton Twitch TV channel. He covers hoops, college and pro for Barstool. He's Bobby Regan. You can follow him on Twitter at Barstool Reags, R-E-A-G-S. Bobby, top of the morning to you. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Well, we are doing well. Listen, big news in college basketball yesterday. The Bill Raftery bobblehead doll coming out in a week and a half. Here's my only issue with it, though, Bobby. It doesn't look like the Raft that we know. It looks like the Raft who was coaching back at Seton Hall 40 years ago. Nobody knows who that guy is.
I know. I think I kind of love that, though, because we know what Raft is now, right? So I can have him on my little shelf next to my TVs, and I can look at modern-day Bill and past Bill.
Don't you think that when you hit the bobblehead, it should just blurt out onions?
It needs like a track. It needs onions. It needs Send It In Jerome.
Yes.
It needs a little lingerie on the deck. It needs a nickel dimer. It just runs through the hits.
Man to man, something.
I just need it on 24/7.
I've got to be honest. You guys doing that? I now want a Raft ringtone. I mean, that's what I really want. I want every time my phone to ring for it to say onions. I mean, answer the phone, Jerome. That would be terrific. You've got a few.
I would say if I could have Raft instead of like Alexa, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh God!
Make the left here.
Have you had a drink with Raft?
I've not. I have a story of how I missed out on hanging out with Raftery one night or meeting him one night. It was the Final Four in San Antonio 2 years ago. I was down there, part of the 3-on-3 that I help out with that's been around for the last couple of years. And we were doing like a wrap-up party. I was out with them. I was supposed to actually go to dinner. My cousin who went to Villanova was down there to watch, obviously, Villanova. And I was going to go to dinner with him and his friends for Easter. And sure enough, who walks into the restaurant? Raftery. Hangs out with them, takes a picture. I get a picture sent to me of my cousin, his wife, and Raftery. And I just threw my phone at the bar.
As well you should have.
Back in the day, did a little CBS work with Vern Lundquist, and he, of course, used to do the games with Raft. This is when Raft was on the B team and not the A team. And Vern used to say, listen, we would find somebody to be the Mariano Rivera every night. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you need a closer because you can't hang with Raft. And so like there'd be a group of you and one person was designated as you've got to make it through the night. You have to go as long as he does. You got to go wherever he goes. You're the one that has to report back. We have to make sure that Raft gets back home safely.
And you don't know, people don't know what an undertaking that is because I tried it with Bert Sugar. When you had to leave, we had Bert down for an event many years ago. You start drinking brown liquor with the Bert Sugars and the Rafts of the world, you better hold on to something because they can go for days. It's a different generation.
It's beautiful.
Hey, you were tweeting last night about the Florida State North Carolina game. We kind of talked, and David from the get-go, he thinks Florida State's a Final Four team. I think he would be right if they weren't so offensively challenged, but I certainly think it's not out of the realm of possibility, and Elite Eight is not that far off. But from UNC standpoint, everybody keeps talking about can they make the tournament. As we brought up, can they make the NIT? They're 2 games beneath 500. They've still got Duke left twice. I know that there are injuries, and I know they're supposed to get players back, but Riggs, we're not just talking about an unusual UNC season. They may not go to a tournament this year.
Yeah, so the one difference is it changed a few years back is you don't have to be 500 to get to the NIT anymore, which is huge for UNC because the NIT will happily take North Carolina because of obviously the name and if they do make it to New York, North Carolina fans are everywhere, especially up there, so they'll sell out. I don't know. I do think they end up splitting with Duke because they always split with Duke, and it's weird. Like they could make the semifinals of the ACC tournament. I don't think anybody would bat an eye because there aren't 4 good teams in that conference. There has to be a 4th team in the semifinals, and I do think they make. Probably the NIT. I think they're done with the NCAA. They have to sweep Louisville, Duke at Syracuse, and then win a couple games in the NIT or in the ACC tournament without losing without a bad loss. So I think they're 1% light with the NCAA. The NIT, if they look fine down the stretch here, and let's say they lose a couple of close games, they win. Like I said, they win either with a Duke, a Louisville, or at Syracuse. I do think that the NIT will take them because, again, it is such a big name that, for the NIT, why not?
He's Bobby Regan. He covers basketball, pro and college for Barstool. Follow him on Twitter at BarstoolReags, REAGS. On a scale of 1 to 10, is there a team this year in college basketball that even potentially is above an 8? Because I just think this is a down year in college hoops. You know, we had a lot of great talent last year who that left, and I just get the sense, I mean, you know, I'll give Baylor all the credit in the world for the season they're having, but even when I look at Kansas and Duke on their best day, Bobby, I don't know that they're any better on their best day than even very good. It just feels like this is a down year.
It is. We had more players leave early last year than ever, which I don't blame them. Like, again, if you can go get paid, right? Like,
right.
You're starting your professional career, and then you just had a weaker recruiting class coming in. It's the weird cycle of, you know, kind of worst case scenario of, and the other thing with freshmen, the one thing to remember is nobody really paired up this year, right? Like, Anthony Edwards went to Georgia by himself. Cole Anthony went to UNC kind of by himself. Kentucky didn't land those, you know, two massive recruits that they typically do. Duke didn't land. I mean, they had a good recruiting class, don't get me wrong, but they didn't land, you know, a Zion and an RJ or whatever. The two guys that kind of did were Jaden McDaniels and Isaiah Stewart out at Washington, and they don't look great. I mean, Isaiah Stewart's been really good. McDaniels is up and down, but, you know, Washington's probably not going to make the tournament. So that's the other thing to remember is nobody paired up, and then you had all this other stuff. You know, I don't know if anybody this year is better than, like, the Elite Eight teams last year. You know, Kentucky, Auburn, Virginia, Texas Tech, Purdue, Duke, Michigan State, and Gonzaga. So Baylor might be there, but I would probably take all 8 teams that made the Elite Eight last year that I think were the 8 best teams in the country over everyone. And I do think Baylor's good. I think Baylor this year is top 10 any other year. But, yeah, there's not a great team this year at all.
Yeah, and until San Diego, I'm either going to have to start taping San Diego State games or get them to play a little earlier so I can at least watch them enough to make an opinion, because every damn game's at 10:30. When you do morning radio, it's tough.
They remind me a lot of the Wichita State team that went undefeated and lost to Kentucky, but not as talented. Because that Wichita State team was really good. They just got a bad luck of the draw with that Kentucky team as an 8 seed, who probably should have been like a 6 seed. But, you know, they had Ron Baker and Van Vliet and that whole group. They remind me a little bit of that where, you know, I think San Diego State's going to be undefeated coming into the tournament, but they could also lose to an 8 seed. I don't think anybody will bat an eye.
And the only good thing for the Aztecs, Mark, may be, I mean, that Kentucky team was as loaded an 8 seed as we've ever seen. And I don't know if there's going to be anybody that good that could take them out the first week. I think they may get to the Sweet 16 before now they're finally going to be challenged.
But I think you're going to play them in an 8-night game. You know that 8-9 game is going to be a Big Ten team versus a ACC team, and they're going to play someone who's seasoned when they get there. But speaking of the Big Ten, is there anyone in that conference that you legitimately think could make a run in the tournament? I know people say Michigan State because of Winston. I'm a State grad. I don't think this team's very good at all. And you know, you've watched them, how different they are home and road. Is there anybody in the Big Ten you're willing to take a run at making a tournament run?
Yeah, I think Michigan State can get there because of Winston. It's because guards do play in the tournament, and they have one of the best ones in the country. I think Illinois is a sneaky Final Four caliber type team because, again, Ayo Dosunmu can go win you games, as we've seen. They're good on the road. They have a bigs. Underwood, I really like as a coach. Iowa, maybe, because just the way that they shoot the ball, they've gotten better defensively. They have a star in Luka Garza. Maryland has the talent. I just don't trust Mark Turgeon. History tells me that they're just going to not make the Sweet 16 or cap out at the Sweet 16. So, I don't know. Like, the Big Ten is weird. They have a bunch of really good bigs, great bigs even, but guard play in the Big Ten is not great, right? Like, it's Cassius Winston, Ayo Dosunmu, but, like, Xavier Simpson has a lot of flaws, even though I like him as a player. Anthony Cowan has been the same type of player since he was a freshman. What other guards scare you in the Big Ten?
Michigan and Ohio State are tied for 11th in the Big Ten, and yet, you know, you throw Michigan's early season wins up there, I could make the case, and they just beat Rutgers on a neutral floor. I mean, I could make the case they're a tournament team. How many do we think that conference is going to get? Could they reach double figures bids?
Yeah, I think they do get double in. So I think 10 is realistic. I know a lot of projections have like 12 in there now. I don't think that's going to happen because there will be upsets at some tournaments. There will be stolen bids, which will take away. But when you look like the ACC's down so much, the SEC's down, no mid-majors have really stepped up, that you got to fill out a bracket, and the Big Ten kind of has, and the Big East. Like, you could make a case for all 10 Big East teams getting in. And I do think the Big Ten gets 10 in because, like you said, Michigan, you do punish them for a lackluster conference play, but you can't punish them for a bad non-conference. They had a great non-conference. So I don't think it's unrealistic when you look at 10, 11 teams from the Big Ten getting in.
Boy, that Big East, since it's really now the Catholic League, could Notre Dame just be done with this? Go join the Big East for all their things, be their independent in football, and be done with this. Because Notre Dame belongs in the Big East basketball conference now with the schools that are in there.
Yeah, I guess. I guess UConn's coming in, so you can expand a little bit. I want the Big East to stay the way it is because of the round robin. Every conference should just play round robin because it's the best, and that's how you actually determine a regular season winner. So I'm very cool with the Big East staying small.
Oh, and you know what? And from your standpoint, you're right, Bobby. I just look at we got all these Catholic schools in Notre Dame playing in the ACC. It just which doesn't belong about this. But I'm totally with you. Dayton, San Diego State, Gonzaga. Which one, in your opinion, has the best chance to win a title?
So if Gonzaga's at full strength, which they don't seem to be because Killian Tilly, unfortunately, is just always injured. He's hurt again. I like them. I would probably put Dayton there because they have the star Obi Toppin. They have they play 5 out. It's a unique offense. They have the best offense in the country. They have different guys that step up. Jordan Clutcher is really good down the stretch. He's hit a lot of big shots for them. I would probably put Dayton as the team I trust the most. My only fear with them is they're the only team out of that 3 that they're 0-2 against for sure tournament teams. OT lost to Colorado. OT lost to Kansas. Now, you're talking about a possession either way that we talked about Dayton being undefeated, so I'm not going to hurt them too much. It's just something that jumps out to me when I look at all all 3 resumes and everything, because it is a good debate. They're all 3 in the same tier. If Gonzaga's full strength, don't give me them because Mark Few's the best coach out of that group. They do have stars, but again, it's hard to say that full strength when they're just never there.
LSU's unbeaten in league play. They've won 10 in a row. Are you buying?
Yeah. Listen, LSU luck is a real thing, but at the same time, we're a year and a half of them just winning 40-point games every time they play.
I know.
So there's something to that. I will say Will Wade has done an excellent job. When you look at what they lost, Tremont Waters, Naz Reid, and that group, of them blending, Javonte Smart, Skylar Mays, Emmett Williams, Trenton Watford, the highly touted freshman, they haven't missed a beat, and there's something to that. And Will Wade is think what you want about everything going on off the court, FBI stuff, which I've said it before, I don't really care about. What he's doing on the court coaching is nothing short of unbelievable.
And Emmett Williams from our neck of the woods, the pride of Lehigh. Finally, Bobby, what about the Gators? I mean, people were talking Final Four. This team, I think, was preseason number 6 heading into the beginning of the college season. Are they even a tournament team?
Yeah, they're a tournament team, but they're an average team. I don't understand what's going on there. Mike White, who I wrote an article 3 years ago, saying he was going to be the best hire out of all these, when the SEC went through that massive hiring change with bringing in all these new guys. He's now he's got away from what he did at Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech, he played super fast, got up and down the court.
Yep.
They shot threes. They played this fun style. This team is made to play that, and they're playing slow, and I don't understand it. And I know some of it is as simple as they're just not shooting the ball well, but why are you not running 24/7? Why are you not pressuring the defense when you have a guy like Scotty Lewis out there who can create havoc? And he's at his best when he's just flying up and down the court. It's between Mike White's coaching decision and Andrew Nebhart didn't really take the jump that I think everybody thought, and some of these freshmen aren't really working out. It's just, I don't know, man. They're by far one of the biggest disappointments in college basketball.
Bobby, thanks for making time for us. We always appreciate your insight. Hopefully we can do this again before the month is up.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Bobby Regan, he covers hoops, college and pro for Barstool. Follow Bobby on Twitter at Barstool Reags. That's Reags. Bobby Regan, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. We'll switch gears next hour with the NBA trading deadline a little more than 48 hours away. Brian Toporek will join us. He covers the league for Bleacher Report and Fansided. He'll join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Today was the day when, next on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening this Tuesday morning, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
You're clear. I just think that we're getting so far afield because we so badly, I think some of us so badly want to believe that racism still exists, and that's what limits somebody. Dave Gettleman doesn't care if his next head coach is white or black. Matter of fact, I'm sure Dave Gettleman would have liked his next head coach to be African-American. Do people understand how hot the seat is on Dave Gettleman?
Doug Gottlieb, afternoons at 3 on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
On 2nd and 7, Johnson takes a snap and rolls right. Oh, and he goes down hard. Flags fly on the play. There's a lot of laundry on the field after that hit.
Dirty laundry piling up? New Image Cleaners can help. New Image Cleaners has been Southwest Florida's #1 local cleaner since 1975, offering dry clean.
New Ram Quad Cab lease, just $299 per month.
Big
That's
jump
right.
last year,
Motor Trend's
David.
Truck of the
Would've been
Year.
bigger. We
Ram
went
Quad
from like
Cab,
90 to
$299 per
28.
month. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges,
pool.
Jeeps, and Rams. All at the absolute best prices in Southwest Florida. Qualifying purchases with zero down and no monthly payments till August. That's right. Zero down and no monthly payments till August. And exclusive of that offer, Galliana Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Fort Myers will give you $6,000 minimum for any trade in any condition,
we were 11th
running or
last
not,
week
at
alone.
Galliana Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
So, like,
1/2
this
mile
guy
south of
probably
Daniels
had
Parkway
Webb
on US
Simpson.
41
Yeah, so
in
he
Fort
had
Myers.
Webb.
Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 36-month lease, 10,000 miles per year, $29.99 due at signing plus tax, stock, and dealer fee. No security deposit, minimum trade for the purchase. Select new vehicles, in-stock units only. Offers don't combine.
Attention, men. It's a proven fact that a lack of intimacy in a relationship
We only
can
had
hurt
2
self-esteem
guys
and
even
lead to
cash
emotional
and
detachment.
finished 11.
Let the Fort Myers Men's Clinic help you create the relationship you have always wanted and put an end to ED and PE with one visit. Erectile dysfunction
Well,
and
it's like we were
premature
watching
issues
that.
are
I don't
simple
know, I
to
forgot who
eliminate
it
with the
was.
right
Somebody
treatments
missed
and
the
the providers that
Yeah,
understand how they work.
One of the no-names
The
that was in
doctors
the
at Fort
running.
Myers Men's Clinic
He missed
offer
the-
the latest and available treatments with
3-footer,
same-day
you know, I mean,
solutions for
I
erectile
looked
and
at Doug
premature
Fisher, and I'm
issues.
like, what's
You
that,
can increase
$200,000
ability
miss?
and stamina in just one visit.
I go,
Most men think the little blue pills or testosterone are the only
like a
options.
3-putted
Not
17
true.
or something. Like,
Call
I mean, one of them was like,
239-317-7777 to meet with the licensed medical providers no matter what age you are. And even if you have diabetes, high blood pressure,
Got a
or
bag
had your
again for
prostate
the,
removed, they
back to
can
the
help
England
you.
this year.
239-317-7777, 317-7777, or go to FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
Contact Miller and Moulton anytime. Call me Daddy. Save the Williamson Brothers Marine text and talk line to your contacts.
Who's got it better than us?
239-249-8167.
We are Fox Sports.
We've been talking with our friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters, and he's been bringing us up to speed on the quality of their CoreTech luxury vinyl flooring. Not only is CoreTech a beautiful flooring to look at, but it sounds like CoreTech is so durable, it can stand up to almost anything.
CoreTech is so soft and quiet, even Frank the dog will love it. Even CoreTech will stand up to your daughter's new soccer cleats. If you guys ever need a new floor, just let me know. We can come by and redo the guest bedroom, also known as the studio.
So if it's the durable CoreTech vinyl flooring that you're looking for, or if you need carpet, tile, or hardwoods, now's the perfect time to visit the Floor Meisters. They really have it all at 6281 Naples Boulevard next to Costco. Give them a call, 239-596-4964. That's 596-4964, or visit them on the web at floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors? My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings on Angie's List and Home Advisor. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdoor.com.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
I don't think Seth Everett's going to be friends with me anymore. He's still got you to bond with, but I voted in our poll question, which is best or favorite recent Super Bowl halftime act. And, you know, just from a performance standpoint, I'm not talking about the artist, but, you know, the Prince one, I get it. You know, there will never be a better halftime show than Prince, but I mean, I really enjoyed the Bruno show, and he's actually appeared 2 or 3 times because others have done it and have invited him to kind of pop in and do a song or two. But I voted Bruno Mars, and as I was voting it and sending out my tweet, I thought to myself, Seth Everett is going to crush me. And he's already tweeted out, and he'll be on the show tomorrow, and it'll be, well, a lot of abuse for me. You two can gang up on me, but that was my vote. Vote your favorite recent Super Bowl halftime performance.
Yeah, he's right. I should have left Prince off of it. I probably should have put Justin Timberlake up and just say, with all respect to Prince, knowing it was the greatest halftime show that will ever happen in this or any other lifetime, who's second?
Playing Purple Rain in the Rain?
Yeah. It's it. It's the end-all be-all. And you know what? We'll talk about it more because it is time for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When, Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We go back to 1789 today, David. The first U.S. Electoral College chooses George Washington as president. And we've liked that Electoral College, particularly in the great state of Florida, ever since.
Well, it does make for lively Tuesday nights once every 4 years.
It really does. 1824, J.W. Goodrich introduces rubber galoshes to the public. I don't know what he ever did after the boots.
I don't know that you need a second act.
Really?
For royalties from the first one.
Goodrich? I was being a little silly there. Right. Rubber boots, Goodrich. He kind of had a little tire thing.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
I kind of consider one an offspring of the other, but
1849, the University of Wisconsin begins with one room with 20 students. Rumor has it looked exactly like their 2018 basketball team.
Average score of their games was 53-46.
1932, the third Winter Olympic Games open in Lake Placid.
When was this?
32.
Okay.
1941, the USO was founded. 1956, the Soviet Union beats Canada 2-spit to clinch their first ever Olympic ice hockey gold medal. The U.S. takes silver, Canada bronze. They were pretty good from 56 until 80.
Right. In fact, the only time, actually 56 going into the 90s, the only 2 times they didn't win the gold, we
60
beat them
and 80.
60 and 80, right.
Squaw Valley, Lake Placid.
Right.
Last cut of the 60 team was Herb Brooks.
Correct.
1958 and 1960 today. The baseball writers were just as arrogant then as they are now. They did not elect anyone. 58 was the first time since 50, and they thought that was so much fun they'd do it again 2 years later. 1968, Bowie Kuhn replaces William Eckert as the 5th commissioner of baseball. 1969, John Madden is named head coach of the Oakland Raiders.
Very young head coach of the Oakland Raiders in 1969.
1970, Patton was released. It would win the Academy Awards Best Pitcher in 71. 1971, NASDAQ was founded in New York City. 1977, Rumors, that had this little hit on it, was released by Fleetwood Mac. I think it did okay.
Oh, those 2 albums back to back.
Tusk and Rumors were just monsters.
Wow.
2004, Mark Zuckerberg releases this little thing from his dormitory at Harvard called Facebook.
Yeah, we thought a little differently about Mark Zuckerberg.
I don't know. 2007, it was the greatest halftime show ever, and Peyton Manning would go on to be the MVP in the second half, beating the Bears 29-17.
Yeah, I'm not so sure he deserved that MVP. I mean, first off, you could have given it to the kicker. He kicked 5 field goals. There's a few people there you could have given it to.
2016, we lost Earth, Wind, and Fire founder Maurice White, died at the age of 74. 2017, Black Sabbath played their final concert of their farewell tour at Genting Arena in their home city of Birmingham. The final song of the night, Paranoid, is streamed live on Facebook, so fans across the world can see it on stage. 2018, the Philly special, Nick Foles, your MVP. We'll never hear from him again.
No, he'll get released from the Jags in a year.
He'll play backup somewhere.
And then he'll be signed as a backup somewhere.
If you were born today, you share your birthday with Charles Lindbergh, most known best for the Lindbergh baby. Come on, he flew across the Atlantic. Having a little fun, David. 1912, Byron Nelson was born. 5 major titles. Rosa Parks, born today in 1913. The late David Brenner, very funny guy.
He was.
Born in 1936. Alice Cooper, born in Detroit, today in 1948. LT.
You want me to guess how old Lawrence Taylor is?
Yeah.
61.
Bingo, right on the number. Dennis Savard is 59.
And he'll do a spinorama for you just for asking.
You're darn right he will. And Oscar De La Hoya is 48 years old today. And that is Today Was the Day When on Miller and Moulton this 4th of February.
So he's not even 50 yet? He has seemingly been around forever.
Right.
Forever. He doesn't look his age, but he's
looks
been around
22.
forever that you think he should be 60. But yes, he looks in his 30s, and yet you feel as if we've been
Olympic
talking
champion,
about him.
1 minute, 6-time world champ at different weight classes. I mean, you don't know how he'll age because he is a boxer and took a lot of shots, but you're right. That is a young look for, especially for a boxer.
Controversial guy, accused of sexual assault, also has been involved with drugs. But when it came to fighting, he didn't duck anybody. He fought them all during his day at different weight classes. If there was a good fighter and a good fight to be had, he raised his hand and said, okay, let's do it. So lost to some good ones too.
In some really good fights.
Yes.
That was in. Not only did he not duck him, he didn't duck him in the ring either.
No. Wasn't afraid to mix it up. Was a lot like Sugar Ray Leonard in that sense, although Leonard, dodged against Hagler, but for everybody else, he'd go toe-to-toe with you.
Brian Toporek hosts the NBA podcast, works for Bleacher Report. We'll talk a little hoops next on Miller and Moulton, Fox Sports Radio.
You're clear. Dr. Jim DiRespino from C4MH in Frank's Garage today, talking about New Year's resolutions. It seems like every year we want to turn over a new leaf, right? We're going to eat healthier, we're going to get to the gym, and then come February 1st, what? Nothing? And most guys say, I just don't have any energy.
But guys, before you spend a ton of money on a gym membership and a personal trainer, go to C4MH.com. We have an express treatment program that will get you over $400 of blood tests, including total and free testosterone, and an in-office doctor consultation for only $45.
I'm a patient at C4MH, and it's safe, convenient, and affordable. Best part is, now I've got the energy to follow through with that New Year's resolution.
Exactly. Your workouts become super energized. Your $45 gets you information about the state of your body.
So guys, give yourself the gift of testosterone replacement therapy at C4MH.com. The leaders in low T care, and make your resolution this year a successful one.
We're simple people.
I'm an idiot.
And being simple means...
What?
You understand what we do.
Wait a minute.
24 hours a day.
There were some moments.
For 19 years straight.
It's a very weird time to be alive. That's where we're at right now.
Hit us up. We give you the best sports and entertainment talk on your radio.
I'm trying to create a little bit of drama.
Imagine that.
And what I mean by that is...
This is Fox Sports Radio.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor. The Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. Your old pool pump is an energy hog and likely your second greatest user of electricity. We'll install a new Pentair energy-efficient pump, saving you over $500 a year. We're a family company. And for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 105.9 Fox Sports Radio. We are Fox Sports!
What's trending now on Fox Sports Radio is sponsored by Stevie Tomato Sports Page in Naples, Fort Myers, and Cape Coral.
Got your caller.
Thank you.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning. Are you? Yep, that's it. Miller,
Shelter from the Storm, huh?
and Moulton.
Yeah, sounds like a song.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Third and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this first Tuesday of February. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming foxsportsfm.com. You can find us many a place. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch TV, YouTube, and Twitch. We have our own channels, Miller and Moulton. Please sign up. Find them if you can. Pleasure to welcome Brian Toporek onto the show. You can read him many a place. Bleacher Report, Forbes, Fansided. He's also co-host of the NBA podcast. Brian, thanks for your time this morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Follow Brian on Twitter at btoporek, Toporek. We'll get to the trade deadline in a little more than 48 hours in a moment. But Brian, there's only 4 teams in the league that have a better record than the Miami Heat. They're a game and a half out of the 2 seed in the East. Are they legitimate contenders, if you know what I mean? I mean, not just nice team. They're going to win their division. They're going to win a first-round series, and then they're going to go away quietly in the second round. Are the Heat legit?
I think they are. I think there's a clear division between the Bucks and everyone else in the East. So if you're asking, can they win the title this year as currently constructed, I wouldn't go that far just because the Bucks have been historically dominant, frankly. I mean, they're 42-7. You know, they're just annihilating teams most nights, and they've somehow kind of slipped under the radar because most of the focus has been on Giannis Antetokounmpo becoming a free agent in 2021, and I think the Warriors of the past few years have almost desensitized us to such regular season greatness. Like we just look ahead to the playoffs and remember the Bucks kind of falling apart last year. But I just think they're the clear class of the East. But after that, I mean, I think it's Miami and Toronto right now that if I had to pick one team to face them in the Eastern Conference Finals, it would be one of those 2 teams. And going into the season, I would not have said that about either team.
And going into the season, I thought Indiana was going to be the team that was going to come out of the East and surprise some folks. But out of the teams you didn't mention, you've got Toronto and you've got Miami. Who left out of the Sixers or Indiana or anybody else? Is there a piece or two that they could pick up here in the next 48 hours that would change your mind about someone else challenging the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, I think of the teams in that race for the 2 seed right now, the Sixers are very clearly the ones that need to make a move more than anyone else. I mean, you saw last night the Heat annihilated them. They lost embarrassingly to Boston on Saturday as well. Something's just not right with their chemistry or their team construction, Al Horford hasn't fit as well as they had hoped. So I think they're going to make a move before Thursday. They have a couple of early second-round picks from Atlanta and New York that should help them add a shooter or a ball handler. I think is one of their biggest needs. And I don't think they're going to blow up their starting five. I know that's at this point, a lot of people on Sixers Twitter are just ready to be done with this team, trade Horford, trade Tobias Harris. I think they're going to let this starting five have one chance at the playoffs, but I do think they're going to go after shooters like Alec Burks of Golden State has been rumored. They've been mentioned for Robert Covington from Minnesota, Davis Bertans from Washington. It's a little tough for them if they're going to get in the bidding war for those players. I don't know that they have the assets to outbid, say, a Boston that has 3 first-round picks in this upcoming draft. So I don't think they're going to get an impact player, a possible starter like that. But I think, honestly, adding a couple bench players would help them a lot because they don't have many reliable reserves. But I think Indiana, I don't know that they need to make a move because they just got Victor Oladipo back, and that you could almost look at that as, that's the best midseason addition probably any team in the East is going to make.
And you figure Indiana will work through this. They've had a tough last week. But, getting Oladipo back, if they can get him going come playoff time, and in fact, they could be the team in the first round that maybe the Big Four in the East don't want to face. Is there a difference maker? Not a nice piece, somebody brings in a shooter, that sort of deal. Is there, D'Angelo Russell, I don't know. Did the Lakers trade Kuzma? The Rockets Capella? Do you think that there's a guy that is going to get dealt in the next 48 hours that is going to dramatically change a team's fortunes?
Sure. It's tough to say at this point. I don't think an Andre Drummond type of Kevin Love have been out on the market, but there just hasn't been that much interest in them. It's tough for a lot of contenders to match salaries in a trade for a big guy like that. So, a Boston to get Drummond, for instance, would have to probably give up Gordon Hayward, which I don't think they want to do. I do think Covington is the type of player, he fits the 3-and-D mold that pretty much every team is going to look for. So I do think if a contender landed him, whether it's Boston, the Bucks, Houston, whoever, that could change the playoff race considerably. Derrick Rose has been floated out there in trade rumors, I think, especially for the Lakers. Upgrading on Rajon Rondo as their backup point guard would be huge. I know Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN reported that Darren Collison may come out of retirement, so it's not necessarily a trade deadline acquisition, but again, getting a backup point guard for either of those teams would be a significant upgrade. And this Capella thing, Woj reported it Sunday during the Super Bowl, kind of came out of nowhere. But if a team like Boston in particular that has some size issues, if they could get Capella, that suddenly makes them, I think, the clear number 2 team in the East.
If not Milwaukee, is there a team in the East that, we've been so accustomed to it being the West. And last year, Toronto gave us a great final. But, come on, we just kind of sit here and look at, all right, who's Golden State going to play? And now it's going to be who the Clippers or Lakers or Nuggets. How much better right now do you think the West is, even including the Bucks? Because it is regular season, but they're beating up on East teams is why I think part of the reason we don't get that much into it, Brian. Where are the Bucks in relation to the West? Where is anybody else in the East in relation to the West?
Sure. So, I think the Bucks right now should be the final favorites. Not to say that they're definitely going to win the championship, but they're playing at such a high level that I don't think we should hold last year's collapse in the Eastern Conference Finals against them. I think they are considerably better than they were last year. Now, I think the Lakers and the Clippers are the 2 best teams in the West. Coming into the season, the Clippers were my pick to win the whole thing. If I had to choose right now between the Clippers and the Bucks, I would lean the Bucks, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Clippers are kind of rope-a-doping us here in the regular season because they haven't had Kawhi Leonard and Paul George together all that often. And I figured that would be the case coming into the year, that the Clippers would be the best team in the West. But just because of Kawhi's load management and Paul George didn't play early in the season because he was recovering from a shoulder injury, he recently had a hamstring injury, missed some time. So I think the Clippers are probably a little bit better than their record. They've beaten the Lakers in their both head-to-head matchups. So I think those two teams are clearly the class of the West. If it's Denver, Miami, Denver, Boston, Utah, Indiana, I honestly think those types of series are toss-ups at this point. I think the gap between the East and the West has narrowed considerably, at least between the top 6 teams in the East. I think Brooklyn down, the East is still a disaster, but the gap between actual championship contenders, I think there's not as much as there has been in past years.
Do you think the West is going to come down to which general manager is able to make a deal in the next 48 hours? I mean, this is where I look at Rob Pelinka and I'm like, listen, you probably need to bring in a piece of some kind if you're going to get by the Clippers. And let's face it, they don't know if they're going to have AD beyond this year. LeBron's 35. I mean, if I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm not subscribing to the Danny Ainge way of general managing. I'm not saving anything for the future here. I mean, for all I know, this could be the best team that the Lakers have for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think the Clippers are in that same mentality because Paul George and Kawhi Leonard signed 3-year deals, but they can opt out after the 2020-2021 season. So for all they know, they have 2 years with this core. Montrezl Harrell's a free agent this year. They have 2 assets in particular. Mo Harkless is on an $11 million expiring contract, and they're able to trade their 2020 first-round pick. But after that, they traded basically every pick for Paul George. So I think they're probably also in the same mentality of, we went all in this summer. We need to continue doing that. We can't be hoarding assets, and these are 2 prime trade chips for us. So I would not be surprised if both teams made a move ahead of the deadline. And yeah, I mean, if I don't think Denver or Utah, Utah made all the moves this summer, adding Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic. I don't think they're going to make a huge splash ahead of the deadline. So I do think it's probably an arms race between the LA teams in terms of who's going to make the biggest upgrade that affects the title race this year.
I read where New Orleans is going to stand pat because they think they could make the playoffs. They have so much momentum whether or not they make the playoffs. David, my co-host, travels with the SEC, and on a college football night in November, there's as many TVs on the Pelicans as anything else in Baton Rouge. Those are things that never happened before this year. So my point is, one, do you think they need to make the playoffs? And if you were running New Orleans, would you deal a J.J. Redick or somebody? Because people want shooters. Those are valuable commodities this time of year. Are they smarter to not make the playoffs and make a move because they don't really need to do anything for their fan base right now?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because Zion Williamson, just returned a few weeks ago, made his regular season debut. So I think their thinking is we want to see how all of these guys fit with Zion before we make any big moves. And so, would they love to make the playoffs? Of course, they have a very easy schedule coming up, one of the easiest in the league. So that should help them. But, right now, looking into Tuesday, they are 5 games behind the Memphis Grizzlies. So it's a big hill to overcome. I know Drew Holiday was mentioned earlier this season. Mark Stein of the New York Times reported that they weren't necessarily shopping him, but they're at least listening to offers. I don't think there's necessarily a huge urgency to move some of these guys just because they're under contract beyond the season. So, it's not a risk of, we're going to lose him for nothing in free agency in July. Well, I mean, they're under contract through next year. You're going to still get to see how they fit with Zion. Derek Favors is the one exception, but very few teams have salary cap space this summer, so it's not going to be – it's a buyer's market, basically. I mean, it's going to be, a couple of teams have enough money to offer a considerable salary, but the teams that have that type of money, Atlanta and Memphis are at least intriguing young teams with good, Trae Young, John Morant, exciting young prospects. So that could be enticing. But otherwise, it's like teams like the Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers, where you're basically choosing between, do I want to go play for a ton of money, or do I want to actually compete for a championship? Because these two things are mutually exclusive when you're talking about the Knicks and the Cavs. So if I'm the Pelicans, I understand the hesitance to make any big moves. I mean, you've got Zion, Brandon Ingram just got named to an All-Star game. Lonzo Ball's been playing really well this year as well. So, I don't think there's urgency necessarily to, if they can get, 2 first-round picks for J.J. Redick, sure, but I don't think they're just going to sell just for the sake of selling.
He's Brian Toporek. He talks the NBA, whether it be Forbes, Fansided, Bleacher Report, also co-host of the NBA podcast. Final question very quickly. There's all this hesitance to give up a lottery pick. Most years, I think we all understand that. But like D'Angelo Russell can be had for the Timberwolves if they're willing to give up their lottery pick in this upcoming draft. I think D'Angelo Russell's better than any player who's going to be in this upcoming draft. I mean, is this the year, Brian, quite frankly, to give up your lottery pick? I mean, for a good young player who's already been in the league 3-4 years, this looks like it could be the worst draft of the last 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking the same thing, that usually, teams value first-round picks, not only because you get the chance of a star young player, but you also get team control over them for, they're all under a rookie contract for 4 years, and they become a restricted free agent. So you effectively control the first 8 or 9 years of their career, which is very valuable to teams, especially now, given all of the player movement that's happening around the league. But as you said, this is projected to be a very weak draft. So, yeah, I mean, I would be inclined, especially, going back even to the Clippers, who are going to have a late first-round pick. I don't think, if you're in a win-now window especially, I think you should be more willing than usual to give up a first. And, for the Timberwolves and Russell, I mean, Russell is good friends with Karl Anthony Towns.
Right.
They just need something, some semblance of positive momentum, because, they had much higher hopes for this season. Andrew Wiggins started off well, but has since kind of cooled off. Towns was hurt for a while, so that didn't help either. But, they did not expect to be the second worst team in the West, which is what they are right now. So, yeah, I wouldn't blame them if they were willing to offer that. But for Golden State, too, Russell has come up in trade rumors this week. It wouldn't surprise me if they moved him. But they could sit there and think, well, we're probably in line for a top 5 pick, too. And then if we wait until June, we can offer a top 5 pick combined with Russell, and maybe we can get something really good. Maybe, come May, people have turned their opinion on this draft class. Or, a couple prospects have popped out as, oh, this guy's not as bad as we think. So if I'm the Warriors, I don't know that there's necessarily an urgency to make a move unless you're blown away by an offer between now and Thursday.
He's Brian Toporek. As we mentioned, Bleacher Report, Fansided, Forbes, co-host of the NBA podcast. You can follow Brian on Twitter at the letter B, Toporek, Toporek. Brian, thanks for the time and the insight. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Brian Toporek, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. And obviously, we have not done a lot of NBA since, quite frankly, the season has started. But with the trade deadline a little more than 48 hours away, this is kind of make it happen week in the league, to be honest. And so, there have been some surprise teams, both good and bad. The Heat are one of the good. The Sixers, I would argue, one of the bad.
They're a mess.
An absolute mess.
I mean, one of the things that Brian tweeted out yesterday is that I don't believe that the Sixers signed Al Horford to bring the Celtics chemistry with them to Philadelphia.
Right.
Because they are a mess.
They are.
And they're very talented. They should be better than this. But
there's not a leader on that team.
No, there is not. And Simmons doesn't want to be one. When I watch him play, he doesn't look like he wants to be a leader.
Although last night he came out and called the team soft, which to me is kind of his attempt at trying to be a leader here. I think it's also his way at looking at the big fella Embiid and going, hey, we're going to get serious about this? I mean, because they can't beat anybody away from home.
I got you. But And I get what you're saying, that he's trying to be a leader. But being a leader doesn't mean spouting off to the press after a bad loss. That's not my definition of what leads. You may be right that that's what he's attempting to do. But that shows me immaturity, because their first thing to do is to bitch outside the room.
Third bad loss in a row, though. I desperate times. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, because put it this way, to me, if I'm the general manager, it's not. I like the fact actually he did it this week. The other weeks I'd be in complete agreement with you. I like the fact he did it 48 hours before the trade deadline. I think it was a cry for help, quite frankly. And I don't know if they're going to make a coaching change, and that's going to be their big move, or whether or not they realize they need to reshuffle the chairs on the deck here.
But after Florida State and North Carolina, I switched that game on last night, and man, ooh. I mean, they have no heart right now. And look, and the Heat are very. Don't think for a minute I'm not acknowledging how good the Heat have played. But when you're scoring 140 points at home, the other team is not giving you a hell of a lot of effort.
Although, boy, once again, I mean, it's the new norm.
No. Actually, I mean, come on, David. Last night you had one big score in overtime. You can't count. You can't count the Knicks and Cavs going to OT.
No, I know. They went to OT in the mid-120s, but Warriors won with 125, a couple of wins at 112. The Nets won at 119. The Celtics won at 123. All right, you did have a Grizzlies-Pistons game that was low-scoring. The Kings won at 113. The Clippers at 108. I mean...
Yeah, but I mean, 108, I guess, to me, 108's not high. 108's...
No, 108, I guess, now is the new average.
Well, it should be. That's what they should be scoring in that league.
Especially
no offense here. We bitched and moaned nonstop about all these games in the 80s and 90s. Now they're scoring, and now, I mean, which one do you, I mean, I'm not saying you, but I mean, you know what I mean. I'd love to see all these games right around 105 to 120. That's a more entertaining game to me.
Yeah, 120 seems to be about the number you got to get to. You got to get to 30 a quarter right now.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the postseason if that's still the same number.
Much like in the NFL this year, all the penalties called in the regular season, an average of 16.5 a game. You know how many penalties were called throughout the playoffs? An average of 12 a game. They cut flags thrown and accepted and all that were 25% lower in the
Well, they're better teams in the playoffs. That's what they're going to keep telling us, David.
Thank you, Bill Polian. Thank you. Miller and Moulton. 22 minutes past 8 o'clock. The poll question, you know, give me a little credit for the guts to publicly disclose my vote. I could have kept it a secret, but we asked you in recent years, best halftime show. And
almost half of you are wrong. I don't know how else to say it. 40 some odd % of you are answering this question incorrectly.
And
David's one of those in the 40 some %.
The Prince halftime was epic. It was.
He played Purple Rain
in the rain. It started raining, right? And I will say though, I think it's anyway. I don't want to get in trouble.
David tweeted at me. Yeah, there's been a few good ones, but nothing touches Prince. I think I'll go queue it up on YouTube now. Thank you, David. Thank you. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing. We're all going to watch it together during the break.
And friend of the show, Seth Everett, challenged me as well and said, go watch it again. Seth will be on the show tomorrow to chastise me. But that's the poll question. Prince and Bruno Mars and Beyonce and who's the other one? Did we put JT?
The one from yesterday. Or 2 days ago, rather. Gotcha. Shakira and J-Lo.
So there you have it. That's our poll question. Go vote. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton. Have some fun with it. I voted Bruno. I'm taking all the heat. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us. 23 minutes past 8 o'clock on this first Tuesday in February on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Our sound is a sound that
You're
makes
clear.
you stop, and listen.
Listen to me, and you listen well.
It's a collective voice that calls out to you, the fan.
We get a lot of zany people that call in.
This is our sound.
We're dealing with sick people here.
They're just absolutely nuts. Crazy stuff happens. That's all I'm saying.
And you can only get it here.
Get crazy, get wild.
On Fox Sports Radio.
If you needed heart surgery, who would you call? A doctor who's done it every day or a doctor who's done it once a year? The same is true about your erectile dysfunction. At the Fort Myers Men's Clinic, our Florida physicians focus on one thing, solving your ED. High blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, prostate cancer, these all contribute to your ED. And our physicians at the Fort Myers Men's Clinic know how to solve your problems. We have over 50 different custom formulations tailored just for you. You get to try the medication containing FDA-approved ingredients right in our office. Your total cost for the consultation, test dose, testosterone, and PSA test is only $99. If the test dose doesn't work, you pay us nothing. So you have absolutely nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Call now, 239-317-7777. That's 239-317-7777, and move from skeptic to believer. 317-7777, 317-7777, or online at FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
This is Mark Miller for Tim Tracek Motors, and I'm with Wes Dobbins, a very satisfied Tim Tracek Motors customer.
Thanks, Mark. Over the past 20 years, my family and I have purchased at least 17 vehicles from Tim Tracek Motors. Everything from Beamers to town cars to Cadillacs to cars for our kids to the Toyota Avalon and Highlander that we currently own. We've always been impressed by the thoughtful, straightforward way that Tim and Matt do business. We especially appreciate that they're so picky about the quality of cars that they bring to the market. They have always stood behind their cars, and that's why we'll continue to be loyal Tim Tracek Motors customers.
Well, there you have it. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900. 275-7900. At Tim Tracek Motors, they are confident when you meet them, you'll agree that you've never been to a dealership like theirs before. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900.
I don't blame them. You got to do
275-7900.
Hey guys, C4MH.com.
I know they get paid
leaders
extra
in low T
for it.
care.
They
Want you to know that not all low T clinics are the
I
same.
called them
C4MH.com
at 5:30.
has been treating low T for 5+
I'm
years.
11
and offers
miles
express
from
treatment with
tells me I'm gonna
$45
be there
labs
at
and initial
6:24.
exam.
She went,
Most
"What?"
importantly,
I said,
C4MH.com
"Hey, I don't know
uses
if I'm the only one
real
called, but I'm coming
pharmaceutical
from Naples, so I
testosterone
apologize."
with
She's like,
pedigree
"Thank you
papers
so much for
required by
calling."
Florida law and never cheap cut rate compounded testosterone. C4MH.com only treats low T, so no high pressure sales for other medical treatments. No teeth whitening, no weight loss, no hair loss treatments. C4MH.com offers straightforward low T care available with the highest quality meds, friendly staff, and 16 locations from Naples to Wesley Chapel. And guys, C4MH patients have access to low-cost equivalents of Viagra and Cialis, and an affordable non-injectable version of HCG. Plus, every low T treatment comes with a B12 treatment at no extra charge. So guys, if you want the best low T care, go with the best. Go with the low T leaders at C4MH.com.
94.1 Lehigh. We are Buffalo.
Boaters Landing, where you'll find the latest in Four Winds outboard-powered bow riders from 20 to 35 feet. You'll also find Four Winds boats carry one of the best warranties in the business. The Four Winds factory warranty is not just any 3-year warranty. It covers material, labor, and most boat components for 3 years. Four Winds boats, designed for families and saltwater. Boaters Landing, delivering the dream for over 30 years.
Hi, it's Don Shula. Shula's Steakhouse is the perfect place for a perfect Valentine's Day evening. Make your reservations early.
Valentine's Day dinner will be extra special at Shula's with Wagyu steak with Bordelaise sauce or roasted halibut with carrot puree, heirloom carrot marigold, and Florida citrus vinaigrettes. Shula's famous regular menu is always available, so make your reservations early for dinner with your Valentine.
Perfect
Shula's in the Naples Hilton, 239-430-4999. That's 430-4999.
I mean...
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
.28 past 8 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for being with us, Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. If you missed Bobby Regan or Brian Toporek earlier this morning on Miller and Moulton, well, that's what the Connecticut casts are for. Make sure that you download our podcasts. And if you miss any part of the show, that's how you can hear it for the first time. And both Bobby Regan and Brian Toporek joined us on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Law Firm Hotline. Local people, local practice, local knowledge, Goldberg-Law.com.
Poll question, what is your favorite recent Super Bowl halftime show? Prince at around 47% of the vote. J-Lo, Shakira and Bruno Mars splitting 50% of the vote, and Beyonce getting a whopping 2.5% of the vote.
Really?
Holy cow.
Wow. That was pretty good.
And she's one of the most beautiful women on the planet.
She is very talented and very beautiful. There is no doubt. A few people unhappy with her and her husband for not standing for the anthem a couple days ago.
Right, and I think that's part of the reason in these parts. I will say I did see someone tweet on that who was there and said, and you were working, so you're not a factor in that. You're in your own world. I mean, but this is literally someone saying, I was up around that area. There was people sitting, people on their phones, people with their hats on, people getting drinks. It was,
Trying to say not a normal game?
Well, and not a normal atmosphere around there. So, it's one of the things I get annoyed at. I mean, if we're going to, and this has been said before, look, I've never sat, I've never not taken my hat off. I would never allow my son, my grandson, or someone I was with, quite frankly, to not take their hat off for the anthem. Because I've hit strangers. When I've broadcasted games, I have tapped people on the shoulder in the crowd and told them to take their hat off. That's how adamant I am when it comes to the national anthem. It's how I was raised.
What are you more adamant about? More than 10?
Hat anthem, not close.
Okay.
And it's not a good question, David. It's a great question.
All right.
No, it's a great question. I don't want to dismiss that as if like I'm trying to shun you off. It is a terrific question, David.
And now, you interrupted me before I fully asked it, so I just want to make sure that everybody knows the question I was about to ask was, what annoyed Mark more? Not taking your hat off for the anthem or standing in a 10-item or less express lane with more than 10 items. I am not kidding. I went to grab a 12-pack of beer in Fort Lauderdale Sunday morning.
That's one item.
Well, thank you. And that was all I had. All right. Went to there was a Publix a half a mile from the hotel, and I grabbed it because I knew that everything was going to be closed when we got back from the Super Bowl. There was going to be a little group of us. This way we could all have a couple beers, toast one another before we go on our merry way. And so I'm standing behind this couple, and I could not see their cart. And I am not exaggerating. 31 items in the 10 or less line.
Say anything to them?
I started counting at 16 out loud.
And?
Okay. And the lady turned around and looked at me, and I looked right at her and went, 23, 24, 25. I mean, it reached a new level of obnoxiousness by me, but I actually think they're more obnoxious. And I literally looked at the lady who was working the register, and I go, are you really going to check them out?
They can't do anything. They can't do anything. They are not allowed by managers. I've had this conversation with the cashier.
But I was on the other coast. I didn't know if the rules applied across the alley.
Yeah, Publix is Publix.
31 items in the 10-item or less line.
I heard a comedian, and I like this because I've done this. I'm a door holder. I hold the door open for people.
Do you expect a thank you?
I do. And that was his whole point. And he said, and I like this, because if you hold the door open, and he basically said you're required to give a thank you, even if it's that obnoxious person who holds the door open 20 yards before you're at the door and requires you to do a workout that you weren't intending on doing to get to the door, that you still look at that person and say thank you. While I'm laughing hysterically at this comedian, I'm going, he's right. That's why I found it funny. And he said, and he's sick and tired of people not having manners and not saying thank you. He says, so what you do is you very loudly and in the right voice say, you're welcome. Because what you're saying, no matter who the person is a nice phrase. But what you mean is, F you.
Blankety blank.
And the person hearing it does not hear thank you. They hear the second one. And, well, I thought that was good sound advice. Good for you counting that out, though.
31.
Unbelievable.
31.
I was at the grocery store, and I wasn't sure because I have given up on the little plastic bags for a lot of my produce. I have, like, recyclable ones, and I'll just throw, like, 3 avocados in there. Why do I need a bag for something that's a per-unit cost? So I was kind of looking at them. I'm like, I didn't think I had that much. And the 10 and under, there was no one in it. I had 11. Do you know where I stayed? In the other aisle.
There you go.
It's either that or I throw an avocado away. You don't do it.
Only take 2.
You don't do it.
Right.
Drives me crazy.
Good for you.
But, yeah, the hat and the anthem. But I will say, at sporting events, if we are going to continue to complain about it, then let's not sell beer during the anthem. If we're all going to profit during the 2 minutes that the anthem are going on inside every stadium in the country, then we can't complain about what people are doing during the anthem. It's a double standard. Now, if it were my way, you wouldn't sell anything. Because I get irritated when I'm in the concourse and people have their hats on and are walking around, because I typically stop.
What'd you think of Demi Lovato's anthem, by the way?
It's just fine.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah. It was an under, too, from what I understand.
Yes, it was.
Good job by Lee Sterling's daughter.
That's right. I will say he at least, he could have been passing the buck, or he was at least disclosing what his research was. Hey, you're not going to believe this, but my daughter's into this sort of thing. She's performed some anthems, and she looked up Demi Lovato's recent anthems, and the under is definitely the play.
And she was right on.
Yep.
And her reasoning was pretty smart. She does, like she said, didn't have the pipes like some of the other ones that did. And I thought she sang it very well. Yes. I thought it was a very good national anthem.
I did as well. 249-8167. 249-8167 is the number for the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line.
So you brought it up yesterday, and I was thinking more about the game than the goofy graphics. But, they went kind of what did they go to? Basically, I don't know if it's Google that has that now. I'm getting some people that have, these cartoonish pictures of themselves that you can add for your actual. I have a couple of friends. Oh, you can put this picture on, and that's kind of what you use was the cartoon face.
You meaning Fox?
Yeah.
Yes, they went with a different graphics package.
What is the cartoon? Did they have a name for the the emoji or whatever it was that they were using?
They did.
Avatar.
Let's see. I brought my notepad. I don't know if you noticed.
No, I see that, but I can't read your notes.
Yeah, at the bottom of the page, you're not alone. I wrote new look art, and I put in parenthesis pop art.
Okay, that's
what
pop
they
art.
were calling it, because Joe basically said, if I make reference to this, what do you want me to say? And then Joe, and a little behind the curtain here, because Joe said, because when I look at this, I think, hey, hey, hey. And the Fox people were like, no, whatever you do, no, don't do Fat Albert, don't say cartoonish. They said the expression that we have is pop art. So there you go. Don't know if people liked it. Fox also went with the very simple score box, if you will. I mean, very small. Wasn't in the top part of the screen either. I don't know if people liked it. It was lower, the middle bottom of your screen, in which, it was just Niners Chiefs and the score and the three little notches for the timeouts and then the clock. It was very small, though. And kind of like, hey, by the way, here it is, and we're going to try to stay out of your way. And I actually like that. Of all the things that they did that was quote-unquote new, that's what I enjoyed the most.
And I honestly, my plan yesterday, and the day ran way too long. I was just telling you, it took me an hour and 45 minutes to go about 20 miles yesterday. Welcome to season. But my plan yesterday was to rewatch the Super Bowl. That was my intention all day, and I just ran out of hours and got caught up in North Carolina, Florida State basketball over a game that I watched the day before. But you'd made, in some of the graphics, I get pretty focused on the game. I'm not worried about the graphics, if you will. They don't even resonate with me during the game. So I kind of wanted to give it another look, and probably will at some point this week.
There were a couple of things that came up in the production meeting the late afternoon before the game that I wrote down that I'm like, I find this interesting. That Kansas City, before Super Bowl 54, Mahomes had played 4 playoff games, and they had scored 30 or more points in all 4. And that was in my mind at the end of the first half. Troy and I were kind of going back and forth. He had no problem with Kyle Shanahan's end of the first half strategy. That, slowing the game down, you're getting the ball to start the second half. Your quarterback's already turned it over once, get to the half at 10-10, blah, blah, blah. He was fine with it. I was thinking about the graphic in the production meeting over 24 hours earlier, in which I'm like, this is only your 4th possession, and the half's about over. Don't know how many possessions you're going to get in this game. You may not even get 10. This right now is pacing at an Army-Navy like pace, which oftentimes are 8-possession games. And if you have to, I just had it in the back of my mind, you got to get to 30 to beat these guys. Now, it didn't look like you were going to have to for most of the day, but I thought that can you afford to throw away a possession when you got to think at least 27 or more? And, sure enough, Chiefs got to the magic number of 30 again.
Yep, they did. It's actually funny. When Williams is running in, I'm going, why isn't he falling down?
You're not the only person to text that to me.
I mean, I'm like, he's going to fall down. And I'm just yelling it to no one. And my wife's looking at me like I'm an idiot. But I was stunned he went into the end zone.
I'm not, just because, Super Bowl and then the score. And then scoring all but puts the game away. But you're right. Officially putting the game away would be sliding down at the 10. And then you literally take 3 knees and the game's over. I remember LaShawn McCoy, when he was with the Eagles, he did that in a Monday night game against the Cowboys. He slid down at the 2 and didn't score when he could have.
And that was what the start of it was to me, that all these players now are far more aware of plays like that. I really thought he was going to slide. That was kind of the one thing, because there were a couple of plays in my head when San Francisco was winning that I was looking back to. There was a second down run by Mozart in the second quarter. They'd gotten 1 yard on first down, and they were running the ball not very well early, and all of a sudden they broke that run and the running game started. I was going to look back at that play had San Francisco won as to me being a key moment.
It's also, and I remember the play that you're talking about specifically, it was a 2nd and 9.
Yes.
And they doubled down on the run and went off the left side and got 10 yards and then ran it right down the Chiefs' throat.
I thought that was
the next
like,
2 drives.
To me, I had that written down. If San Francisco had won, I thought that was the biggest play of the game.
Well, and it's why many people were critical of Shanahan's play calling in the fourth quarter, because they're like, hey, I know on the one series you only got a yard on first down. Well, double down on it like you did in the second quarter.
Let me ask you this, David. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I felt like we maybe missed this, but you got all week to break this game down, so to speak, because we've got a few hundred days before we have another one. If you were to change one thing if you could only change one thing for Shanahan's play calling, the end of the first half or the play call on 2nd and 5, which would it be?
I actually would have started earlier. It's the series before it all started to go wrong in which I thought Shanahan wasn't milking the clock enough. They get the second interception. It's 20-10. They run it up the middle for 6. 2nd and 4, he goes play action, and 12 yards over the middle to Kittle, first down. They got 1st and 10 on their own 38. There's under 10 minutes to go in the game. To me, now you're pounding the rock here. I mean, 3 runs and a punt, and you're giving them the ball with 7.5 to play. Instead, they ended up running it once, throwing an incomplete pass, running out of bounds, and Kansas City was able to get the ball back with about 9.5 to play. And then they went hurry up and all that. And I thought to myself, there was an opportunity to take another 1.5 minutes off the clock here and give them the ball with 8 or under 8 to go.
I definitely thought it on the incompletion on 2nd down, because that was the first time that I remember consciously looking at the clock. You hear since I made a reference to the 80 Olympic team earlier, that when you watch the movie and you hear Eruzione say after the goal, it was like the longest 10 minutes of their life. They kept looking up at the clock. When I looked at the clock after the interception, and then I looked at the clock again after that incompletion, and David, I went, man, nothing's really come off this sucker.
No.
Because it was only 4 plays. So the run, the completion to Kittle, the next run, and then the
back drive, but they didn't take. They could have taken at least another minute, if not 90 additional.
And that was the first time I was like, 9. Wow, that they didn't do anything.
Well, the other thing was I didn't think they had to forget the time thing. I thought, you're effective running the ball here, and then doing the play action, the little boot stuff off it. Run the ball.
Well, and the bootleg will forever be in my head because it was so effective in the first half, and I don't recall seeing it much after that, and I thought they did a lot with it. And like you said, you could run boots where just Jimmy can run it for 5 yards, slide, keep the clock moving.
Something to remember for next year's Super Bowl, just store this one away. The team that has won the coin toss has lost the last 6 Super Bowls.
And it's been tails 6 in a row, too.
Has it really been? Because when Sherman,
it's like 9 of 13.
I'm a tails guy.
I know you're
a heads guy. But so betting the coin toss, but also how an interesting little quirk there. The team that has won the toss has lost 6 consecutive Super Bowls.
Amazing.
That is just a little.
The team wearing white had a good run as well. And that obviously didn't happen because the Niners were in the white unis.
So, there you have it. I did think one thing that I just wanted to throw out there, and I don't think I'm disclosing state secrets here, but I did find it interesting that at the production meeting, about 26 or so hours before kickoff, that first off, just how proud, like the president of Fox Sports and also the executive producer of the broadcast, that the first thing that they talked about when they had a chance to say something was just the pride that they had in doing the game, which I just found interesting. I mean, they do one every 3 years. The president of Fox Sports had been the president of the Super Bowl before. Richie Zients, who's producing the game, I think has done a half a dozen. But one, just how just the pride they had at being a part of the game. I found that interesting. The other thing was that they wanted to remind everybody, but I think specifically the announcers. They said, we did 35 to 40 million for the NFC Championship game. We're going to do 100 to 110 today or tomorrow. They're like, remember, there's a lot of people watching who don't normally watch. All the stuff that we assume. Don't be afraid, essentially, to identify who someone is. Robert Saleh, okay, if you're a football person, you know who he is. There's a really good chance half the audience tomorrow has no idea who the defensive coordinator of the Niners is. Don't be afraid to identify who someone is. And I will say, of all the things that they did in the pregame, and I didn't see everything, obviously, because I was working, but the one thing I thought that the NFL and Fox needed to coordinate just a little bit better, when they had the 100, if you will, and they had all of the old guard, take a little bit longer and identify who everybody is. If you could have gotten more names out there, more graphics out there, because I just got the feeling from texts that I got that there were a lot of people wondering, hey, who's that guy? Who was that guy in that shot? That's all. Just that would be the only thing that I would pass along to CBS and the NFL for next year. Don't be afraid to take an extra second and identify who everyone is. And one other thing, Mark, the pregame shows how many hours?
47.
Right. They had it down to the second. They looked at Aaron Andrews and Chris Myers, the two sideline reporters, and they said, okay, and Joe and Troy are going to do their thing and they're going to throw it down to you. You've got 30 seconds, at most 35. Plan accordingly. Plan right now. So they had 5 seconds of leeway, both of them, and whatever it was they were going to do before kickoff. Miller and Moulton.
Good stuff. Good stuff. No, people love to hear that stuff, and I know you should. I know I love to, and I hope that our audience is happy that we're lucky enough to get you out of these games and sponge off of your knowledge from behind the scene, because everybody loves that stuff. We hope they love this. It's the good, the bad, and ugly. It's how we finish up the show here on Miller and Moulton, Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com, and you are looking live at our Facebook page at Miller and Moulton.
This is the Dan Patrick
You're
Show.
Clear. Aaron Judge deletes a post congratulating Jose Altuve of the MVP in 2017.
That'll serve him.
Dun. Take that.
Boom. Deleted.
Yeah. Now they got punished. Oh, did the Astro players get punished? Yeah, Aaron
so I watched
Judge
your buddy
deleted a tweet congratulating Altuve in 2017.
Dan Patrick.
And here they are.
Weekdays
TV
at
last
9
night,
a.m.
Rob Lowe.
on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.
And it was on when I turned the TV on because I watched the Super Bowl in bed. I watched the post game in bed. It was on Fox. It was only on
for your pool is probably not a good
2
use
minutes.
Of your time and money. Free $50 Bonefish
He's a
gift
fireman. They were
when you sign
rescuing
up for
some
one of
kid
our
out of a house.
award-winning weekly service
Me-
plans. We're a family
No.
company. For over 40 years, we've been doing business.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning
this
pool
is the
service,
West Wing
repairs,
fireman
and unheard
version.
of
This is-
$39 diagnostic
this is
calls.
not-
That's
this is a
mypooldoctor.com
drama.
or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057
Don't know.
If a car dealer
I'm the
asks you
wrong
for your
guy to
tax
ask.
refund,
That looked
don't
horrible
do
to
it.
me.
If you've
I
made
mean,
a
those shows
deposit,
all look
get
horrible
it
to me.
back.
But I mean, all of them. Like Law and Orders, I can deal with. The court stuff, any of
Other
the
dealers want your
action
tax
things like that,
refund
they're
at
just like,
Galliana Chrysler
how
Dodge
can we
Jeep
come
Ram
up
in Fort
with
Myers.
another
We
way to
don't
save
need it.
someone?
Right
Like,
now, during
you know,
the President's Day event,
just,
new Ram Quad Cab
okay.
lease, just $299 per
It's like
month.
this or
That's
us.
right.
This is
Motor
us. I
Trend's Truck
loved
of the
the
Year.
first episode,
Ram
but I think
Quad
I cried
Cab,
five
$299 per
times.
month.
I don't need
Over
that in my
1,100
hour.
Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams, all at the absolute best prices in Southwest Florida. Qualifying purchases with zero down and no monthly payments till August. That's right. Zero down and no monthly payments till August. An exclusive of that
Right.
offer. Galliana Chrysler
Right, I mean, it
Dodge
is-
Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. We'll give you $6,000
why it didn't
minimum
work.
for any trade in any condition, running or not. At
It's gotta be
Galliana
sex
Chrysler
drama,
Dodge Jeep
marriage,
Ram, south of
cheating.
Daniels
You don't need, like,
Parkway
for
on
people to be
US 41
entertained. It's gotta
in
be
Fort
full
Myers.
fantasy.
Open every day, including
Or
Sunday.
if
Call
it's huge in reality, it's
239-481-2600.
gotta be funny.
GallianaCars.com.
You know what I mean? Like, Big Bang Theory is not, like, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny. If you tried to make a show with those people and make it drama, I'm not in. I don't care.
11 years ago, it began with
We watched the first
invasion.
Miss Maisel.
From their tombs.
Pretty good.
They're coming to rock your town with terrifying funk from beyond the grave.
Being all this, that, and the other. He goes to see Lenny Bruce.
It's back and
monk,
bigger than ever.
and they're walking about. What do you mean?
For two big shows.
He didn't do anything
February
wrong, and then they
14th
arrest him
15th.
too.
Funkfest
And he's
11 will boast two stages featuring
So he ends
11
up bailing
bands
Lenny
over
Bruce
2
out of jail.
days, and featuring the return of Here Come the Mummies. 2 days of incredible talent, including the amazing co-headliner Lettuce. Also featuring Robert Randolph and the Family Band, The Main Squeeze, The Nth Power, Funk U, Voodoo Visionary, Joe Marcinek Band, guest starring Nikki Gillespie, Jamar Woods of The Fritz, and Tony Hall of Dumpsta Funk, Dr. Bacon, The Headtones, and Jamar Woods. It's FunkFest's 11th year, and it's a guaranteed good time, with a huge food truck and vendor village to keep you partying. Get tickets and showtimes at funkfestpontagorda.com. That's funkfestpontagorda.com.
Like Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio on Facebook. Facebook.com/Fox Sports SWFL.
Attention, men. It's a proven fact that a lack of intimacy in a relationship can hurt self-esteem and lead to emotional detachment. Let the Fort Myers Men's Clinic help you create the relationship you have always wanted and put an end to ED and PE with one visit. Erectile dysfunction and premature issues are simple to eliminate with the right treatments and the providers that understand how they work. The doctors at Fort Myers Men's Clinic offer the latest and available treatments with same-day solutions for erectile and premature issues. You can increase ability and stamina in just one visit. Most men think the little blue pills or testosterone are the only options. Not true. Call 239-317-7777 to meet with the licensed medical providers no matter what age you are. And even if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or have had your prostate removed, they can help you. 239-317-7777, 317-7777, or go to FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake-O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new member specials are running all year. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
From the best headlines,
the best,
to the worst.
It's the worst thing that ever happened to anybody ever.
Prepare yourself and hide the women and children. This is Mark Miller's Good, Bad, and Ugly on Fox Sports Radio. You're live.
For the good, what a neat story this is. And I did say neat. We go to New Orleans. A boy accidentally left his stuffed bear, named Teddy, on a flight from Dallas to New Orleans over the Thanksgiving holiday. He was crushed. Grayson and his teddy bear did everything together. Mom did what any mom would do. She tried to get Teddy back. She was in contact with baggage claim, TSA. I think I called the lost and found repeatedly, she told CNN. Every time I called, they were like, is this about the bear? She posted on a Southwest Airlines Facebook page asking for help. Maybe a flight attendant had seen him or another passenger had picked him up. What she didn't know at the time, the New Orleans airport was overwhelmed with calls from employees and strangers, everybody just trying to find Teddy. Well, turns out in December she received a call from corporate. Said her post caught a lot of attention, and it actually found out that Teddy was on a plane, hand off to somebody after the flight, but never found. So Southwest did something else. They gave Grayson a new bear named Jack, and they showed photos of Jack on the Facebook page, working on the tarmac at Dallas Love Field, expecting cockpits. preparing the cabin for passengers, booking the flight, and even standing in line. They now gave the bear to Grayson, proving once again that Southwest is a hell of a lot better at customer service than any of the other airlines on the planet.
They do seem to have it figured out.
They may hoard you like cattle when you get on a plane, but they do treat you better than the other airlines, and I've thought that for a long time. For the bad, we go to Spain. How would you have liked to have been on the Air Canada flight from Madrid to Toronto? Flight takes off and you blow out a tire. Apparently, the rubber from the tire knocked out an engine and caused it to catch on fire. The pilot was told to circle the airport for a few hours to burn off enough fuel to make an emergency landing. Spain's defense ministry set up an F-18 just to check on the plane. So as you're circling for hours getting ready for the emergency landing, I don't know if they could serve enough booze. Fortunately for all the passengers, they landed safely and they were put up in hotels until they could fly out the next day on another plane. That would scare the ever-living bejesus out of me.
Tell you what, when that starts happening, you better break out the free booze while we're circling.
Uh-huh. But can you? Because you don't want a bunch of unruly drunks on your plane at that point either.
I'd rather have them drunk than sober.
Okay. We go to St. Petersburg, Florida for the ugly, where a 20-year-old Michigan man is not a good person. Jack Debrabander was arrested at the First nightclub. He decided to walk up to the upper balcony level overlooking the club on the sidewalk, step to the railing, and let it fly. Peed all over a bunch of people that were on a bench.
Goodness.
His address is listed as East Lansing, Michigan. So good for you for releasing that Spartan pride all over St. Pete, and enjoy your weekend in jail, you scumbag. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, the 4th of February, 2020.
What's on tap?
You get out of here and let me watch my program. And close the door when you go, because I don't want those mosquitoes coming in here.
NBA tonight, a TNT double dip, 7:30, Milwaukee at New Orleans. The Greek Freak and Zion, 7:30 on TNT. And then Spurs-Lakers at 10 o'clock. Back-to-back, would you lay the 12.5 if you're the Lakers? Spurs playing their second in as many nights?
Yes.
College hoops tonight, Duke at BC, 7 o'clock ESPN. Rutgers in Maryland, 7 o'clock on FS1. A couple teams who have come from nowhere. Maryland in the top 10. SEC Network has Auburn and Arkansas at 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock on Big Ten Network. Game of the night, Penn State, Michigan State. And ESPN at 9, Kentucky's home for Mississippi State. Hockey, Lightning are hosting Vegas at 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Regional. Your NBCSN game is 8, the Blackhawks and the Wild.
There you have it. That's what's on tap. When do you have FGCU? Thursday, right?
Thursday. They will, the men taking on Stetson. Doubleheader against North Florida on Saturday, and the women against Stetson on Monday.
Yeah, I told the daughter we're going to go to a women's game here shortly. She told me she doesn't want to play basketball because she doesn't want to play football or basketball. I'm like, why not basketball?
Go Monday. Stetson's their big rival.
They are.
Yeah, they get up for that game.
That's one of the teams that's made me like women's college basketball, that little rivalry.
You can either go 4 o'clock Saturday when they take on North Florida or 7 o'clock Monday if you want to catch the women's game. Miller and Moulton, thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida's